Return, O Virgin Daughter of Israel, to these your highways by which you went. Welcome to Reunion Roadmap, a place to discover the people and communities along the highway of restoration for Israel's House of Joseph. Reunion Roadmap is a B'nai Yosef North America production. Be our guest for the next hour as we meet the people of the emerging House of Joseph here in North America. Hello, this is Safani Pappas, B'nai Yosef North America, and with me is Al McCarn, our Executive Director, and we're going to part 3 in our interview with Morgan Phelps in Salem, Ohio. Isn't that correct, Al?
Yeah, South Salem, Ohio.
South Salem.
Yeah. And, I think it is this segment where if you want to get in touch with Morgan, well, just call her. She doesn't have a website. Listen closely to what she says here, because she's talking about the basics of business, not fancy social marketing schemes or anything like that. And it's more than just business. It's life. It's building community. It's relationship based. And that's where we get to the networking process. That's why you want to talk to Morgan. You want to avail yourself of her services as a business consultant. Well, call her, and she's not afraid to give her phone number out, which it's 937-901-0041. Call her and see what she can do to help you with your family farm or your small business. Then another thing we're going to hear is a testimony of what gave her the shot in the arm, so to speak, to continue down this path, not just being a business owner, but being an advisor to others and helping them to overcome the hurdles and the obstacles that would keep them from achieving a dream of opening a business. 30 or 40 years ago, when my father had that dream, I wish that somebody like Morgan would have been around to help him out. Because he was a very gifted man in many ways, but being a business owner, well, not so much. The technical advice and the advice from the heart that Morgan brings with her experience, even at the age of 24. No, she is a seasoned veteran.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's go on back to South Salem, Ohio, and let's finish our conversation with Morgan Phelps. So you're out there showing us a better way.
By God's grace, not by my
God's
own.
Grace. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're consulting, you're helping family farms and small businesses, and you're doing this in an era when, well, it's halfway through 2023, and people are looking at runaway inflation. They're looking at the BRICS nations arising and the death of the dollar, and they're looking at rising persecution against people of faith, and interest rates are going up, and all these strangling regulations, but you're still advising small businesses. So
not only that, just in the last, to give you an idea, see, this is what I love about my job is, yes, there is what you just mentioned, in the corporate world, there is all of those factors that you just mentioned. But in the last month, Al, I've been able to help open, close to, I believe, about 10 to 15 different small family businesses in the last month, last 2 months. So yes, there is that strangulation that you're talking about in our modern day culture. But sometimes I think we allow the media to hype those things up way higher than they are. And when you really sit down and you put the pen to paper and you look at it right now, to be honest with you, most of my businesses through 2020 and COVID and all of those things, most of my businesses tripled out.
Wow. Okay. So when AI is replacing humans in the corporate workforce and Amazon is laying people off and hiring robots, your businesses are growing.
Yes,
How
because
how is that?
we're putting real people in real places.
Huh. And is it just small towns and rural settings, or is it also in cities?
Oh, it's everywhere. I mean, the last those businesses that I was just mentioning, they were all over the US and a few outside of the US. It's not just local, but yes, local is a huge factor of it. I firmly believe in decentralization. I believe that we need to take America back to mom and pop, your little mom and pop grocery stores, your little mom and pop shops. That's how this country was founded. And I believe that's what we need to go back to. I believe that's the biblical principle is multi-generational legacies. And that's what I pray and my vision and my goals in life is to create not just a business or an enterprise that is going to last my lifetime, but that's going to be something that's multi-generational, that's going to see my children's grandchildren and their grandchildren.
Well, that's a whole lot different from those who would say the world is ending, or even those who would say Jesus is coming back right now. No, you're looking far down the road. And, I find that compatible with the message of our Messiah, who said, when the Son of Man returns, will he find faith in the earth? Well, faith to me is what you just said. You are taking care of families. You are building up businesses. You are creating things that can be transferred down the line to multiple generations, because I believe that's what he wants to see us doing when he returns.
I believe so too.
Yeah, what a message of hope. Okay, so Morgan, if someone here in my corner of South Carolina wanted to get your advice and have your consulting on how to start a business, what do we do? How do we get in touch with you?
Call me.
Okay. Call you. Do you have a website? Do you have email?
I do have email. I just have a personal email account. See, that's the beauty of the small business, Al, is in today's culture, we're so used to websites, Google,
Yeah.
all of these things. And I believe that's a part of our decentralization is learning how to network again, because that's one of the major problems I run into with people trying to start small business is they don't know how to properly network. They think I'm going to go to social media and put up an ad and suddenly my business is going to be standing on its feet. They don't know how to properly network. And so that's probably the biggest reason why I have never created a consulting website, is because I want people, if you want this bad enough, then you need to learn how to network, how to get a hold of the right people that know the right people that can help you.
I'm with you there.
So call me.
You mean like you just put your phone number out there on a podcast even now?
Absolutely. You want it?
Well, sure.
937-901-0041. That's my personal cell phone. It's going to come straight to me.
Okay. And the number one more time?
937-901-0041.
Okay. That is Morgan Phelps, business consultant.
Yep.
And you will actually come here to South Carolina or down to Florida or over to California.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I would hope that you are properly compensated for your troubles.
The Lord has always made sure of that.
This is great. Yeah, networking. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Ever since I retired from the Army more than 10 years ago, Father's put me into a number of different nonprofits and ministries. What I am learning is the marketing, the social media, yeah, that's nice, but the growth really comes in the intangibles. It's the person-to-person conversations, picking up the phone or going to visit someone and talk with them. And, I've worked with people in ministries who don't get that. They're looking at the bottom line. They're looking at, oh, well, for our foster care ministry, how many children have you placed in foster homes or into adoption? How many church partners do you have? How many? What money have you raised? And in the meantime, our CEO and operations officer are crisscrossing the state of South Carolina and are building relationships, networking in the way that you have just described, to the point that we're going to have a big gala in the state capitol this November, and just see what the Lord has done with all of those intangible networking appointments that have happened over the last 5 years.
How beautiful.
Yeah, it takes faith to do that. I think even more faith than putting out, an ad campaign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not only that, but if I can share with you just one personal story for me, something as far as networking and personal connection, going down to that personal connection that you just spoke of, was when I first started my very first food buying club. I was 15, and one struggle that I had that not many, I'm sure you can kind of run along the same lines with me here, but not many people have had to fight this same fight, is try being a 15-year-old female in a business world.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. Try being a 15-year-old female in a business world that dresses conservatively and has values. It can be really tough. It's a tough market. And I will never forget one of the major key players besides my parents in my life, is an individual that I highly value their friendship. And his name is Max Kane. He is the owner and founder of Farm Match. And he was one of the first people in my career that believed in me besides my parents. When I transitioned the business completely onto his software, he actually took the time, as the owner and founder of this software company, he took the time to call me, a 15-year-old, and say, you did a great job. You transitioned faster than he'd ever seen before. And he took the time to call me and talk to me. And that meant so much to me, because up until that point, I had done nothing but have to fight for a place. It's the business world can be a very brutal world. And very few people were willing to even look twice at a 15-year-old girl trying to make a business. And he took the time to actually, quote unquote, come down to my level. And he actually invited me to attend a business conference with him. And he was one of the people in my life that had such a massive impact. And him allowing me to be there with him at this conference gave me so many networking connections, because people automatically, he's a person of high integrity. And so people automatically, in my viewpoint, associate his name with integrity. And so him allowing me to come alongside of him and him taking me under his wing at such an early age really gave me a boost. Suddenly people were like, oh, wow, maybe she isn't just tossing pennies into a well. If Max is taking her serious, then maybe there is something here. And I can't tell you how appreciative of him I am. The fact, it makes me think of the verse, which I reminded myself of a lot when I was going through that time frame of my life, is not allowing people to look down upon your youth. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's supposed to be a haughty thing, like I'm a youth and you can't look down on me because whatever I'm doing is fine. No, I believe that it's a reminder for the youth as well as the older ones. For the youth, we need to respect our elders. We need to walk in a fashion and character that gives us integrity. Because, a lot of times I hear people, especially of my age group, going, oh, well, they don't respect me. They're not respecting me as an adult. They're not, you fill in the blank. And it's always about respect. And respect is something that is earned. Mm-hmm. It's not something that's just given.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yes.
It's just something that I really had to learn, and God saw me through that time frame. And also, Max could have turned a blind eye. Max could have brushed me off, and he chose to take the time to come alongside the younger generation, which is what I want to do. Yes, I am still young, but even in that, I want to come alongside both my younger peers as well as my older peers and say, I am the one. I want to support you. I want to be the one that comes alongside of you and holds your hand and says, you're going to make it through this. You're going to be making your goals. I'm going to help you with God's help get your business to where it's multi-generational, because I'm not interested in the multi-level marketing. So many in my generation gets caught up in that. And it's not, in my opinion, which is just me, I don't believe it's a sustainable thing. You hear people, oh, I've got my own business, and it's some type of multi-level marketing scheme. And it's like, that's not your own business. That's not something that you're going to hand to your child and say, okay, now this is yours.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I've heard you talk about the multi-generational nature of what you're doing from your grandparents and your parents. This is what made Morgan.
Yes.
Now you are in the process of passing that on to those a few years behind you, your younger peers. I like the way you said that. And older peers. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Paul and Silas, or Paul and Timothy. It's always the older and the younger, or Ruth and Naomi. It's necessary. We got to have that intergenerational connection.
Absolutely.
These days, it's politically loaded to say something like cross-gender. But I think you know what I mean.
Yes.
We talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. Well, that's an entrepreneur. She's running a business.
Absolutely.
It's a business that is multi-generational, that provides for her family and her community, and is something that she can pass on. That is admirable. And she's not doing it in a vacuum. Well, you're not doing what you're doing in a vacuum.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I going back to my dad and my mom again for just a moment, that was something I believed that God used in them to prepare me for the state of life that I'm in right now. I'm currently a single mom, and my dad raised me. I was like I said, my dad only had two girls, and he never raised either one of his girls with the mindset of, you're a girl, you can't do that. My dad is by no means a feminist. Neither one of my parents are. But they never allowed us to use our gender as a cop-out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was expected to work just as alongside of my dad, whether I was female or male. And, that's something that I think too many people, especially of my generation, get caught up in is, oh, well, that's not a girl's thing. That's a guy's thing, or that's woman's work, or that's man's work. If God enabled you to be capable to do that, then it doesn't matter what gender you are. If God has placed it upon your heart and has given you the capabilities to do that work, that's a work you should do.
I'm with you. I have been blessed to be surrounded by strong, capable women from birth. My grandmother, my mother, my aunts, my sister, my wife, my daughters. Yes. And praise God that I was able to learn from them. There are too many pitfalls on either side of the road here, because we could go into the toxic patriarchy. Yes, it does exist. Or we could go into the gender fluid and, we're all exactly the same. And that too is just as toxic. But if we understand that God created us male and female with distinct differences, but with phenomenal capabilities, and neither male nor female is to be despised or put down, but we're supposed to walk through this life together in partnership, well, then I think we get along a lot better and create that culture of life that our God wants us to.
That beautiful picture of balance, recognizing that, yes, the male's body is stronger than the female's. There are distinct differences. there are different emotions that women are more capable of feeling, more
Mhm.
confident than men. But realizing in our differences, there is a beauty of uniqueness and gives us different strengths. And when we come alongside and help each other, that's where a beautiful picture of balance is made.
That's it. And I think that's a good way to end our conversation. So Morgan Phelps, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your story. And I just look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing and what the Lord will be doing through you in years to come.
Well, thank you, Alan. I look forward to seeing where he takes you as well.
Amen. And now, Shema Yisrael by Laura Metzing from her album, Close to You.
We stand before you now, unashamed of you, with hearts lifted high. We want to worship you. Victory is won. This we all proclaim. Yah, we lift our voices and glorify your name. Here we are to worship you, Yah, with all our hearts, standing in your presence, doing our part. Unashamed of you.
Shalom, everybody. Welcome to the Midrash portion of Reunion Roadmap, a B'nai Yosef North America production. This is David Jones, and with me today is Barry Phillips. Shalom, my brother.
Shalom, shalom, brother.
We've got some interesting things to talk about today. Of course, we always have some good, interesting things from people and questions and different things happening, but I think something's kind of been coming up a lot lately around me is a matter of guarding and protecting your heart, guarding and protecting yourself. And, you know, we read in Proverbs where it says to guard your heart. And typically when we think of something like that, we think of guarding ourselves and keeping ourselves from being hurt, you know, being careful of what we allow in and being careful, which we need to do. Right, which has to happen. We need to be careful of the things that we hear, the things that we see, the experiences and the things that we allow in and around us. But if we continue in Proverbs, it says, "For out of it flow the issues of life." And so we learn that it's not just what we receive; it's also what we present. It's also the way that we look toward another person or look toward each other, that our heart is revealed in not just what we get in, but also what we give out. And that's where we have to look towards the heart of the Father. And it made me think of a few things, Barry. I mean, it made me think of where Yeshua says, the things that come out of a man make him unclean. Now, he's not saying that a person cannot contract a ritual, literal, physical unclean. What he's saying is more so it's our heart and our attitude and our inclinations. These are the things that show that we are unclean on the inside. And we have to be careful of the things we let in and the things that we let out. And how we approach one another is a big deal of that, a big part of that. If we truly, this is just, you know, my soapbox for a minute. If we truly saw each other as a holy people, then we would approach each other a little more cautiously, especially if we have an offense or even just a problem or something that needs clarified. I mean, Aaron, the high priest, when you approached him, the first thing you saw when you looked at him, looked him in the eye, was this gold plate over his forehead that says, "Holy to Yahweh." And if we saw each other as a holy people like that, I think it would really affect our lives. And before I kind of get your thoughts on this, Barry, I want to touch one more thing on things that we see in reminders, and I'm going to bring Aaron back into this again. Scripture says about the heart that, it's a wicked, deceitful thing, and don't go chase off running after your own heart or, these things, like why we wear tzitzit. Because we wear it, because Scripture tells us, Numbers 15, that it is a reminder that we keep the word of Yahweh, that we do not go off chasing our own whims, chasing our own heart, our own desires. Right. And that's what that blue thread was for, right? That techelet, that's what that blue thread was for. But Aaron didn't wear a single thread of blue tzitziot. Actually, the robe that he wore was made entirely of techelet. And so it's kind of like, if this is the picture of just ourselves, when we look at Aaron, it should be like, boom, whoa, kind of a thing. Because he ministers to Yahweh. He is interceding for us, and he is doing these things. And traditionally, this is where I think it's interesting. Here's the connection between the heart and the mouth. Because traditionally, we're taught that the robe tells us to be careful of lashon hara, or evil speech. How in the world can looking at this blue robe remind us of evil speech? So here's this thought. The Talmud, which my thoughts on the Talmud, it says it compares techelet to the sea. And the idea is that the sea could teach us how to watch over our speech. Why? Because the sea talks? No. But the waves come in and they break on the shore and then they lose strength. I mean, unless we're talking about like a tsunami or something like that. But when the waves come, they crash on the shore and they lose their strength and they go back out. Even, a big wave can knock you over, right? But up on the shore, this wave, it'll just kind of tickle your toes. So this is what's taught in Job 38, where it says, He brake up forward, decreed my place, set bars and doors, and said, This is how you come, but no further, and here shall your proud ways be stayed. Now, this phrase, this is where you come, is ad po. But po is spelled the same way as pe, which means mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is we should not let these strong, flowing words that want to burst forth like waves to someone to knock them down, that we should first cause them to break and lose their strength before they come out. Now, following this thought through, if we go further, in Exodus 28:32, it says that the garment, that this robe that Aaron wore, it's to have a binding of woven work around the whole of it. And we just think first thought, meaning, oh, that's to keep it from getting ripped or torn or anything like that, which it may have that purpose. But when you read that, the Hebrew is Safa Yahi Lafiv Saviv, which can also translate, there should be lips to your mouth. And it gives us the idea that the bar and doors that the Father has given us to prevent our tongue from bursting forth speaking negative words is our teeth and lips.
Yes.
And
Two barriers, yes.
So what do you think about all that, Barry?
Well, as you're describing the Tekelet robe, I'm thinking of Caiaphas on the night of Yeshua's illegal inquisition, that he grabbed the robe at the word of Yeshua, it is as you have said, and ripped it, which means that he would have grabbed the double-stitched or reinforced collar line of that robe and torn that robe, which he was forbidden to do, by the way. The Torah says you may not rip that, which disqualified him from his service. Nonetheless, he was crying blasphemy. It's just amazing that he tore the garment that was indicative of guarding your mouth, and then uttered words that Yeshua declaring that he is Ben Elohim, he is the Mashiach. He considered to be blasphemy. I just find that a little bit ironic. I'm also thinking of Yaakov chapter 3. Verse 10 begins, out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brothers, this should not be so. Does the fountain, there's your water motif again, does the fountain send forth the sweet and the bitter from the same opening? So, when your heart is deceitful, when your heart has become corrupt, when you have been indulgent in what you have been putting into your heart, be careful that your mouth betray you. It's going to come out at some point unless you get that out of there. If you put in that which is praiseworthy, that which is righteous, that which is worthy of thought, and put that in your mouth, it's going to, in your heart, it's going to come out of your mouth, and people are going to understand and realize there's something positive about you. Now, we can all mask our words. We can all use deceitful words that do not rightly betray what's in our heart, but not all the time. I've often taught people, you don't know who you are until you have been pushed and stressed and tested. It's not who we say we are, it's who we end up proving that we are.
That's good.
So, in any given calculated situation, we can choose our words carefully and kind of hide, maybe to some degree, what's within. But when emotions get flared up and we are not calculating in what we're saying, we end up putting our hand over our mouth and our eyes get wide open and we realize, ooh, I didn't mean to say that. And what we realize then is what people really think. So, that's especially true in spousal arguments. How many times has one or the other, or sometimes even both, ended up blurting something out? Oh, so now the truth comes out. Now I know how you really feel. and you realize, there's not a mop and bucket big enough for me to fix this for a long time.
That's a good way to put it.
Let me tell you a quick story, and I'm watching the time here. Some years ago, I was pastoring a church where the local powers that be within that congregation, a couple of men, really ran the church. They, what they say went. And one of them had a brother that was used as a go-between. These two men, they determined that they were offended. They resigned from all their positions. We're not leaving, or we're not coming back until you leave type play. And one of their brothers was sent to inform me what they were saying. And I finally told him, listen, you're carrying their mail. Be careful that you don't become poisoned by that mail. He was coming to me with tears in his eyes, asking for reconciliation between parties. Let's fix this. And I'm trying to tell him, look, they're the ones that's done this. I have to govern this church according to denominational bylaws. I don't have room here. And sure enough, what I warned him about took place. He got poisoned by the mail that he was carrying. He adopted the offense of somebody else's heart, and it became a part of his own until it exploded out of him.
Wow. I got to say, Barry, a lot of times I really don't think we realize we can do that. That we can take an offense that somebody else has and adopt that and take that on as something that may have happened to us, but we had nothing to do with it.
That's a spiritual heart transplant, isn't it?
Of the wrong kind, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So, well, I hope everything ended up working well with this brother, but I think it does show the need to guard and protect what we allow in to get what we get out, because what's in there will come out, like you were saying, especially when you get upset or when you're driving in traffic. and when all these things start happening in our lives, we have to pay attention to those things that we let out, because that shows a character in areas in our life that we may still need to fix, things that we may still need to pay attention to and look at. Because there could be things that we're allowing in, garbage out.
Well, David, how many times you said, someone said, I didn't mean that. You know me, I didn't really mean it that way. Yeah. Then why did it come out of your mouth that way?
Understanding sometimes there is just a miscommunication where you don't really have a way to be able to explain accurately what you're feeling. And sometimes if we're offended, we hear things differently, but not to discount these things. The truth is, at some level and some degree, if we're saying it, it's in there somewhere.
So the offense can not only taint your mouth, but your ears.
Yeah, very much so.
You can listen with an offendable heart.
You can.
As well as speak with one.
Let me put it to you this way, and this, again, admitting my fault here. There was a brother many years ago where if he would have quoted to me John 3:16, I would have looked at him and said, prove it. I just didn't want to believe anything the man said. And that's because I had problems there. And that had to be addressed. That had to be fixed. Not saying that we just blindly trust everyone, but we have to acknowledge the fact that we do have responsibility for how we hear and perceive things going on around us to make sure that it's righteous.
Yes. Wow.
Well, Barry, I think this is just about putting us out of time. So
yeah, we covered a lot of territory, though, in just about 15 minutes. That's not too bad.
So a final thought or a good way for people to get hold of us?
Yeah, if you have questions, comments, and we'd love to hear from you concerning that, you may contact us at Reunion Roadmap at B'nai Yosef, that's YOSEF, B'nai Yosef, NA.com.
And now, Awaken My Heart by Jimmy Black, from his album, I Run to You.
To run back to you. And I'm running home, I'm running back to you, seeking your face, I run to your grace for me. All I need is you. All I want is you. Awaken my heart, awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for you, 'cause I am yours. I'm running home, I'm running back to you. I'm seeking your face, I'm seeking your face. I run to your grace for me. All I need is you. All I want, Lord, all I want is you. Come on, you tell them. Oh, we say, awaken my heart, awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for you. Oh, we say, awaken my heart, awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for you, my love for you, my love for you, 'cause I am Come on, you ask him. Awaken my heart, awaken my heart, awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for Awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for you. Come on, we say. Awaken my heart, awaken my soul to you, so I will worship. Awaken my will, awaken my love for you, and my love for you, my love for you. I am yours. I am yours.
Well, the music and the midrash for this podcast were all about the heart, starting with Laura Metzing and her song Shema Israel. Then Jimmy Black, Awaken My Heart, and they were the bookends to Guard Your Heart, the midrash that Barry and David brought to us. Stefania, as I ponder all of that and ponder as well what we've heard from Morgan Phelps, part of the Guard Your Heart exhortation, I think, would be guarding our hearts from the prevailing culture of fear.
Yes.
How do we do that?
Well, it has to do with knowing who we are and our identity in Yeshua, and making sure that we're standing firm in that identity, and knowing that he is totally and completely in charge. I mean, there's so many things going on around us that can cause us to walk into fear, anxiety, and stress. And unless we know that he is the captain of the entire ship and he's got everything in control, nothing is a mystery to him. Once we enter into that comfort zone of giving it all to him, then that release comes, that tension leaves, and we start walking in shalom.
Oh, that's a big thing, walking in shalom. Daniel was walking in shalom even in the lion's den.
Yes.
He has this relationship with his creator and redeemer, and that trumps all. So remaining faithful to your calling and the one who called you, and walk through the fire.
Yes, and who was the one that was traumatized the most through this? It was the king.
Yes, it was.
The king was traumatized the most because he thought, oh no, what's going to happen to Daniel? And I've appreciated his service in my kingdom.
Maybe we should have a whole podcast on this subject. But right now we are out of time once again. So do visit our website if you haven't yet, BneiYosefNA.com, BneiYosefNA.com. If you are so inclined, please press that donate button and partner with us. We would be greatly honored. So on behalf of Stefania Pappas and Barry Phillips and David Jones, this is Al McCarn. Shavua Tov.
Thank you for joining us on Reunion Roadmap, a production of B'nai Yosef North America. Please come back next week for another visit with the people of the emerging house of Joseph here in North America.